welcome to Amunatrack. Hope everyone is doing well. Sounds like I'm always saying sorry for the long delay, but it has been another long delay on my videos. I have gotten involved with doing two online classes, helping out with some classes online, and that I'm help teaching. And also in the middle of the last year, my wife and I bought a home, moving, getting settled in. I'm in my new office. This is not the apartment and not the green screen. This is my study that's behind me, at least part of it. And I just want to thank you all my followers that's stayed with me, and I appreciate that. And drop me a note sometime, and like to talk with you. Leave me some comments down below if you like these videos. And please share them and subscribe to them, and have your friends and family subscribe and share as well. I appreciate that. Tonight, it is tonight here in Southeast Tennessee. And so it is the evening time here. So I'm going to just say it. So tonight, what I would like to do is I want to start a series of videos, short videos. This one will be a little bit longer because it's kind of introductory to the subject that I want to cover. What I want to do is do a short series of videos on Psalms chapter 19, verse 8. And I'll be using the teachings of the Torah scholars and sages and Torah teachers of Israel. And from their teachings and different notes that we have pertaining to this subject, I want to bring out and also discuss. Especially one of my favorites is Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch. He has some really good information on this verse, and well, I love his teachings completely on the whole Torah, because the way he digs into the subject. And it'll take a few videos here just to cover this one verse. And to give you an example, if you've not seen any, one of the classes that I help is my teacher in Israel, Torah for the Nations in Safad, Israel. We have a Wednesday night class. Check out the Torah for the Nations YouTube channel, and you can catch and see some of the classes that we are doing. Not everyone on the screen is everyone that's in the class. We have several that are off camera and several that listen through several different platforms. My buddy Scotty, that helps run kind of the engineering aspect of the class, has an internet radio station that we stream live on. And we stream live on several different platforms. And so if you're interested, stop in, check Torah for the Nations YouTube channel. I've been going through the book of Jonah, and we are on part 8, and we'll just be finishing the first chapter, hopefully, God willing, this next Wednesday. So let's dig into chapter 19 of the book of Psalms, or in Hebrew and Tehillim. We're primarily going to be dealing with just verse 8. And tonight we're going to be just dealing with the first piece of verse 8. But before I get started, I want to go to the second verse as kind of introductory here. Let's go to the first and second verse. It says, "For the conductor, a song of David. The heavens declares the glory of God, and the expanse of the skies tell his handiwork." Now, I am reading from the Art Scroll English translation from the Hebrew to the English. And so, in doing so, if you're following me with a Western Bible, your verse numbers may be off on some places, because the Jewish English translation from the Hebrew doesn't exactly line up with the Western numbering of the verses in all places. Sometimes it's just, they're exactly, but in some places they are off. So if you want, where's he getting that at? It might be a verse above or a verse below according to the Western English translations. Excuse me, it's the wintertime here in the southeast Tennessee. This week it's been 60. Today is 50. Tomorrow's 40. Next week 60 again. Back to the 40s. 30s at night. And it plays havoc on your sinuses. And down here, if you're from the south, especially around southeast Tennessee, and with the mountains that we have and the winds that come and go, and we'll have wind gusts that comes up out of Alabama, and then we'll have wind gusts that comes down out of Kansas, and it can mess with you. So excuse me if I have to take a drink every now and then. All righty. As we read here in verse 2, it says, the heavens declare the glory of God. This whole chapter, or the whole Psalm of 19, is really good. And I was almost tempted to just hit verse 1 and let's just go through the whole thing. But what's been on my mind a lot here lately, and very often, matter of fact, is verse 8. And I find myself sometimes quoting it in conversations quite a bit. So I decided I'd like to do a little teaching on it and get a little in depth on what we can learn here from verse 8, what King David is saying, and the different insights that the Torah scholars and the Torah sages and the Torah teachers of Israel throughout the time since King David has learned and has taught from this verse. So what's interesting, so verse 8 starts out, the Torah of the Creator is perfect. The Torah of the Creator is perfect. Now, some of the teachings of the Torah scholars of Israel says it like this, and I found this really good. After completing his description of the heavenly wonders which proclaim the wisdom of God, the psalmist proceeds to declare that there exists a testimony to God's greatness which surpasses the heavens. That testimony is that the Torah, which is perfect. Understand what King David is saying in verse 2, that the heavens declare the glory of the Creator, and the expanse of the skies tells of his handiwork. Nature itself, when studied, when examined, and looked upon, will bring you to the full knowledge and the full truth that there is a Creator. That it just didn't happen. Just like with a watch. You don't throw springs and gears on a table and all of a sudden you got a watch, or you got an internal combustion motor. No, it takes someone engineering and designing and putting everything in place so everything works according to the way it was designed. And that's what King David is opening up, and that's what he's telling. The heavens declares the glory of God. But that's it. There's wisdom that you can learn from the creation. But it's in that one aspect alone there is a lacking. And so yet the Torah sages says that the psalmist proceeds to declare there exists a testimony of God that is greater and surpasses the heavens. And that is that the Torah is perfect. You see, we can study and we can gain wisdom from nature, and we can gain the knowledge and the truth that there is a Creator beyond a shadow of a doubt. There is a Creator. But what it cannot teach you is proper human behavior, to be the human being that you were created to be. Just knowing that if you look at your body, if you look at anatomy and see how the body is made, you will discover the glory and the awesomeness of the Creator in his mind and his way of being able to create and to put things together, and it works. You have your bowels and your hearts, and you have your nervous system, and you have your skin and hair and eyesight and voices and hearing and hand, limbs with fingers and toes, and all of this working together didn't just happen. And so we can discover the glory of God by just looking into things like this. But what you cannot find out is, what does the Creator expect of you as a human being? How are you to behave? Roddick, another Torah sage, says all 5 books of Moses, that is called the Torah, not only the commandments, but even the stories and the narratives, all of these are a guide showing the proper way to draw close to the Creator. See, the Torah meaning instructions. They're instructions. We're instructed on how to live and behave as human beings, not only through commandments, but stories and narratives. How to properly deal with one another, with situations. And so every word that's within the Torah, and it may not even be a commandment, it could seem like a story. Maybe the story of the situation when Joseph's brother threw him in a pit and he ended up in Egypt. There's so much that we can learn from that. And so the psalmist is teaching us that the Torah is perfect. I'm not going to get into it in this video. I may do it in the next one, but I want to get into the word perfect, what is translated as the word perfect there, and share some things with you from other places within the Torah itself where this word is used. And so we can gain some even understanding what it is saying, that the Torah is perfect. Now, I want to move over to the teaching of Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch on the issue of the Torah of the Creator is perfect. Now, he has quite a bit to say about this, so I'm actually just going to take just a few sentences from the very first part of his teaching for tonight, because I don't want to go long. I want these videos to be a little short so people can listen to them on their breaks and listen, have time if they want to listen to them over and over and take some notes. And again, feel free if you've got questions of anything that I'm teaching here on this. It's not for debate. These videos are not for debate. So, if you got something you want to debate about, don't put that in the comments. It'll get deleted immediately. I don't debate. But if you have an honest question, feel free to drop it down below in the comments section. And I will be glad to look into that and bring them up in the future videos, and maybe even do a video just discussing maybe a certain question about something that I've brought up. Now, Rabbi Hirsch says, I'm going to take my time here on this because it's so wonderful, the insight from Rabbi Hirsch. He says, on the Torah of the Creator, that is perfect. He says, if man keeps his spiritual eye and ear attuned to these thoughts, he will gain greater understanding of the language of heaven and earth. If a man keeps his spiritual eye and ear attuned to these thoughts, what thoughts? Well, in verse 8, it has multiple aspects. I'm going to cover a little bit at a time and not at one one point. But the thought we're looking at right now is that the Torah is perfect. If you keep your ear attuned, that the Torah is perfect. There's no need in adding to it. You can't add to the Torah. Matter of fact, that's a forbidden by the Creator. He gave us everything that we needed. You can't do away with it, although there are some religious people out there and leaders want to say that it's been done away. Well, man has said that, but the Creator never did, because he says it's perfect. It's perfect. There's nothing to add or take away from it. It's from heaven. It's from the Creator himself. So when we understand these thoughts, that the instructions and the stories and the narratives of everything that is contained within the Torah itself, it is perfect. It will do as it is designed, just like a fine-tuned engine or a well-running clock or watch. Everything moving, everything in a human being that is healthy, everything operating according to the way that the Creator made it for a purpose. It is perfect. It's perfect in its design and its operation. The Torah is perfect in its design and its operation. Rabbi Hirsch goes on and says, he will gain greater understanding of the languages of heaven and earth. Just know when you open up the Torah, just an example, one of the teachings of Rabbi Hirsch I love comes out of Genesis chapter 1, verses 11 and 12, where it says that the plant life, when the Creator created it, he said, bring all the seed-bearing trees and the earth and the vegetation of its kind that came forth. And Rabbi Hirsch, and I'll go through that some, at a time of deeper teaching on, but what we learned there is that everything that God made has a place and an operation within that place. An oak tree has a place to be an oak tree and a pine tree, and neither one of them are fighting back and forth to be the other. And an oak tree can't decide to grow pine cones, and a pine tree can't decide to grow acorns. And so there's a place within the creation for things to exist where he created it. Human beings are a lot more complex with that because of free will, which, matter of fact, if you listen to Torah for the Nations last Wednesday's class, we got into discussion of free will a little bit with Jonah. You will begin to understand the language of heaven and earth. You'll begin to understand when you start seeing how the Torah is perfect and how everything has its place and the way it was created, and it has each thing has what God put within it to operate and for its purpose. That is a language, understanding in a way like the duties of an oak tree and the use of an oak tree and everything that is supposed to be done. That teaches us the language of heaven. He says, of his own, the man of his own place, he will learn of his own place in the world, ruled by God and the divine laws which controls all things great and small. And the divine laws that controls all things great and small. Like I said, there are divine laws on how an oak tree grows, how a pine tree grows, how a cornstalk, how the grass grows, how a rose bush grows. And they all grow different from the way a leopard grows or a chimpanzee, a cat and a dog. They all have their own way they grow and the way they act, the way they live. They live by instinct. That is the program. That is the program in which they were designed to operate. And these laws controls nature. And like what Rabbi Hirsch says in Genesis 1, but man is given the opportunity in his free will to accept to do the laws that are already here before he was even made, or reject them. Now, tonight we're not going to get into the laws that I'm going to be talking about this for those of us that are not Jewish, that live out here in the nations. Next week we will get into that with what Rabbi Hirsch is saying next. But this is where I wanted to stop at tonight. If a man keeps his spiritual eye and ear attuned to these thoughts, he will gain greater understanding of the language of heaven and of earth, of his own place in the world, ruled by God, and the divine laws which controls all things great and small. The Torah is perfect. Everything operates according to the way the Creator designed it. The wrench that's thrown in there, for us to grow the way we're designed to grow, we have a right. I don't like to use the word right. We have a mechanism that is created within you and me called free will. We can accept it or we can reject it. And our lives reflect, our societies reflect those things, the laws that we accept and the laws that we reject. They do govern our lives, whether we accept them or reject them. They do govern our lives. It just depends, are we on reward or are we on punishment, which is even more. But the Torah is perfect. The Torah is perfect. Again, we can look at nature. We can learn to glorify the Creator in everything He has made. We can take a leaf, a blade of grass, and we can look at it through a microscope and at the wonders of the Creator and how things are designed. We can take an X-ray and look at the skeletal system of a human being or another animal. We can glorify the Creator for the awesome works of His hands. But you cannot learn from them how to act properly. You can't learn to live a moral life. What is morality? The Torah describes what morality is and what it isn't. It is perfect. It is the only thing on this planet, heaven and earth, that can teach a man how to live and how to behave with his Creator and with his fellow human being. So that's all I wanted to bring tonight. Hope I've watered your taste buds a little bit for what's coming. We're going to continue over the next video or so of looking at just this first part. The Torah is perfect. Again, if you have any questions about the issue of the Torah being perfect, feel free to drop me a message. Share my videos. Subscribe. I want to thank you for sticking with me. All of those that have stuck with me and in my absence while I was doing some other things that's important. And I'm not giving up on those. I'm still doing those on Wednesday nights. I've got one on Wednesday and one every other Thursday and everything. And if any of you are interested, the Torah for the Nations, we live stream Torah for the Nations on Wednesday night. Like I said, we're going through the book of Jonah at this time. You're welcome to come and join the live stream there and listen to the class and participate. You can put in questions in the chats. We've got people who watch the chat lines for us while we're teaching. It's generally about an hour and a half from beginning to end for the whole class. There's several things that we do in the class, but you're welcome to join us. And I want to thank you again for sticking with me here at Emunah And I also have a Emunah blog that I write at emunahtrek.com. Feel free to go check those out and share them as well. And you can contact me through my blog as well. So I want to say good evening here from Southeast Tennessee. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.